Have you ever wondered who wrote the first computer program, only to be buried in history's shadows under the names of men? I am a scientist, having spent a lifetime studying forgotten stories, and today I want to tell you about Ada Lovelace, a woman who saw the future of computers before they even existed, yet was callously dismissed by 19th century society. This injustice doesn't just anger me, it's a stark reminder that geniuses like Ada paid a heavy price simply for being women. Picture this: a young woman, living in an era when science was a man's domain, wrote the world's first algorithm, the foundation of every piece of software you use today. But instead of being celebrated, she was relegated to the role of assistant and forgotten for centuries. What made society turn its back on such a genius? And why does her story still haunt us today? I've sat in my lab poring over Ada's notes, feeling as though I'm touching a treasure abandoned by time. Those pages hold not just numbers, but dreams of a world where machines could create, compose music, and transform how we live. Yet those dreams were snuffed out by gender prejudice and historical indifference. Today, I invite you to join me on a journey to uncover Ada Lovelace's story. Not just to understand her achievements, but to ask, how can we ensure no other genius is forgotten again? And to begin, let's step into the life of a woman who dared to dream big in a world unready to listen. Ada Lovelace was born on December 10, 1815, the only child of the famous poet Lord Byron and Annabella Milbank, a woman with a passion for mathematics. Her parents separated soon after her birth, and Byron died when Ada was just 8. Determined to steer Ada away from her father's artistic temperament, Annabella imposed a rigorous education focused on mathematics, logic, and science. But rather than constraining her, this environment ignited a fierce passion in Ada. From a young age, Ada displayed extraordinary intellect. She designed models of bird wings to study flight, dreaming of building a steam-powered flying machine. But the 19th century was no place for such dreams, especially for a woman. British society at the time viewed women as homemakers, not scientists. Prestigious universities like Oxford and Cambridge barred female students, and women were rarely allowed into scientific discussions. Ada faced skepticism from her family and society alike. Her mother, though supportive of her education, often worried that Ada's scientific pursuits would make her peculiar in the eyes of others. Those around her believed women couldn't grasp complex concepts like advanced mathematics. Yet Ada refused to let these whispers deter her. She taught herself, devoured books, and sought mentors like the mathematician Augustus de Morgan and Mary Somerville, one of the few female scientists of her time. Ada's pivotal moment came when she met Charles Babbage, an inventor working on the analytical engine, a mechanical device designed to perform complex calculations. Ada was captivated by the machine, not just for its computational power, but for its potential to reshape the world. Working with Babbage, however, meant entering a scientific world steeped in prejudice, where she constantly had to prove her worth. Her frail health and family pressures made her journey even harder. She was frequently ill, and after marrying William King, later the Earl of Lovelace, she had to balance her role as a mother of 3 with her scientific passions. Yet every night, as the world slept, Ada sat at her desk, writing, calculating, and dreaming of a future she knew she might never see. And in those solitary moments, Ada created something miraculous, a breakthrough that would change the world, though the world wasn't ready to acknowledge it. In 1843, Ada Lovelace published a work that altered the course of scientific history, though few noticed at the time. Tasked with translating a French article by Italian mathematician Luigi Menabrea about Babbage's analytical engine, Ada didn't merely translate. She expanded the article with her own notes, 3 times the length of the original, brimming with ideas far ahead of her era. In her most famous note, labeled G, Ada wrote an algorithm to compute Bernoulli numbers using the analytical engine. This was not only the world's first computer program, but also proof of machines' ability to handle complex tasks. What truly made Ada a genius, however, was her vision for computing. Unlike Babbage, who saw the analytical engine as a mere calculator, Ada realized it could process any type of data: numbers, music, text, even images. She wrote, "The analytical engine might compose elaborate pieces of music, or produce any result, provided we know how to command it. This idea that machines could transcend mathematics to become tools of creativity laid the foundation for the modern computer. Ada envisioned a world where computers didn't just calculate, but created and communicated nearly a century before such machines existed. Yet her notes, though published, went largely unrecognized. Why? Partly because of gender bias. Male scientists of the time couldn't believe a woman could produce such profound ideas. Many assumed Ada was merely transcribing Babbage's thoughts, despite Babbage himself admitting she understood the analytical engine better than he did. The notes, signed AL, obscured her role, and Ada lacked the formal platform or position to defend her work. The moment Ada realized her contributions might be forgotten is one of the most heartbreaking in this story. I imagine her sitting alone, staring at her notes, wondering if the world would ever see their value. Yet even in that disappointment, Ada kept writing, kept dreaming. She believed her ideas would one day change the world. And to grasp the depth of her resilience, let's step into Ada's inner world, where she faced injustice with courage and unwavering faith. As a scientist, I've spent countless nights reading Ada's letters and notes, trying to imagine how she felt knowing her life's work might never be recognized. It was a complex mix of pride, frustration, and a fierce belief she was doing something right. Ada wasn't just fighting society, she was battling herself. Moments of doubt, physical pain, and family pressures. In letters to her mother and friends, Ada spoke of her poetical machine, how she blended mathematics with imagination to create new ideas. But she also admitted her loneliness. "I feel as though I'm speaking to the future," she wrote in one letter, "but the present refuses to listen." Those words send shivers down my spine, a reminder that even the greatest geniuses have moments of vulnerability. Yet Ada didn't let injustice defeat her. She kept working, writing, and exchanging ideas with Babbage, knowing she might never receive the recognition she deserved. Her perseverance is a lesson for us all. How would you feel if your life's work was forgotten simply because of who you are? How do you keep going when the world turns its back on you? I believe Ada's strength lay in her conviction that her work mattered, even if she wouldn't see its impact. She sacrificed her health, time, and reputation to pursue science, and that spirit is an endless source of inspiration. As a scientist, I feel indebted to Ada, not just for what she did for computing, but for how she fought to hold on to her dreams. And when we look back, we see that her dream didn't just belong to her, it belonged to all of humanity, a legacy that changed the world forever. Despite being overlooked in her lifetime, Ada Lovelace's ideas transformed the world in ways she could scarcely have imagined. Her algorithm for the analytical engine was the precursor to every modern computer program, from smartphone apps to artificial intelligence. Her vision of computers, that they could process not just numbers but symbols, became reality in the 20th century when computers began composing music, designing graphics, and analyzing data. In the 1940s, Alan Turing, the father of modern computer science, drew on Ada's notes while developing his theories of computing. Her idea that machines could create inspired later scientists, from those who built the first programming languages to engineers crafting artificial intelligence. Without Ada, computer science might have taken decades longer to achieve its milestones. But Ada's impact went beyond science. She paved the way for women in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Had she been recognized earlier, more women might have been encouraged to pursue science, and the tech industry today might look different. Instead, she was forgotten, her story a symbol of the injustices women in science face. Today, we honor Ada through the Ada programming language, developed in the 1970s, and Ada Lovelace Day, a global event celebrating women in STEM. But this recognition came too late, and it makes me wonder how many other geniuses are still forgotten. Ada's ideas shaped the modern world, but the price she paid, isolation, illness, oblivion, is a reminder of history's harshness. And to fully understand that price, we must look at Ada's final years, a journey of pain, but also of hope. Ada Lovelace's final years were a series of grueling challenges. After publishing her notes on the analytical engine, her health deteriorated sharply. Diagnosed with uterine cancer, she endured years of excruciating pain. She also faced financial ruin as she and her husband, the Earl of Lovelace, fell into debt due to her desperate attempts at gambling to fund her research. In the scientific community, Ada grew increasingly isolated. She had no platform to attend conferences or publicly defend her ideas. Letters she sent to Babbage and other scientists often went unanswered, leaving her feeling like she was fighting alone. Yet even in her darkest moments, Ada kept writing, dreaming of a future where computers would transform the world. Ada died on November 27, 1852, at the age of 36, the same age as her father, Lord Byron, when he passed. Her death went largely unnoticed in the scientific world, and her notes lay buried in libraries for nearly a century. But Ada's story didn't end there. In the 1950s, as modern computers emerged, scientists rediscovered her work. They realized Ada wasn't just a scribe, but a pioneer who had seen the future. Hannah Arendt once said, "Injustice to a woman is not just an offense, it's a reminder that geniuses like Ada Lovelace paid dearly simply for being women." Her final years prove that, but they also testify to the power of human will. Ada sacrificed everything, health, reputation, happiness, to pursue science, and though she never saw the world acknowledge her, her legacy endures. Her journey to recognition shows the resilience of truth, but it's also a reminder of the cost of injustice. And as we reflect, we see not just the story of one woman, but a call to change how we write history. More than a century after Ada Lovelace's death, the world finally began to recognize her genius. In the 1970s, the US Department of Defense named a programming language Ada in her honor. Ada Lovelace Day, held every October, has become a global event celebrating women in STEM. Scientists, programmers, and educators worldwide now see Ada as a symbol of innovation and perseverance. But this belated recognition can't make up for the years Ada was forgotten. Her story reminds us that the history of science isn't always fair, and the greatest geniuses sometimes wait centuries for their due. As a scientist, I believe we have a duty to ensure stories like Ada's aren't repeated. Today, I call on you, those reading this story, to act. Share Ada Lovelace's story with your friends, family, and community. Learn more about the forgotten scientists who shaped the world but were never recognized, and support the Obscure Minds channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing to uncover more untold stories of geniuses overlooked by history. Let Ada's story be the spark that lights our path. No one should be forgotten again. Together we can bring scientists like Ada back into the light, ensuring their legacies live on.